Hello and welcome to the Daily Forex Report for February 24th. Looking at the US-Japanese yen pair first, this pair moved lower, closed lower. We are looking for this pair to continue to move to the downside. Look for this pair to potentially go as high as 82.88, possibly as low as 81.24. Look for some resistance around 82.25. and look for some support around 81.60. Now the Euro USD pair, this pair surged to the upside, getting close to some previous areas of resistance. So we'll have to see if we get a reversal at that point. It's been moving higher, biased overall long term, kind of sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 139.41. possibly as low as 136.23. Look for some resistance around 138.50 and look for some support around 137.43. Now the pound US dollar pair, this pair moved to the downside. It's moving sideways, as you can see. Did create a swing trade opportunity to the downside, fairly steep though. We could see it come on down to this area. We'll have to talk about that here in a minute. However, look for this pair to potentially go as high as 163.30, possibly as low as 159.80. Look for some resistance around 161.85 and look for some support around 160.75. Now the US Swiss, this pair broke to the downside, did break the very long-term trend line. This is the lowest price we've seen the US Swiss in all the history that I have, over 40 years. Still looking for it to move to the downside, possibly on a reversal moving up to 0.9392, possibly moving down to 0.9139. Look for some resistance around 0.9305 and look for some support around 0.9200. Now, as far as what I'm looking at over this, let's go through some let's go through some news. Tomorrow we have the pound releasing their gross domestic product for the fourth quarter at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that it's held at negative 0.5%. We have the U.S. releasing their gross domestic product annualized fourth quarter at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus is that it's bumped just a little bit higher, which is good news, from 3.2% to 3.3%. We also have the U.S. Releasing the University of Michigan's confidence report for February at 9:55 a.m. Eastern Time. Consensus on that is that confidence has moved a little bit higher, from 75.1 to 75.4. Now, as far as what I'm looking at during this next session, we have the pound US dollar pair that has created a very steep swing trade opportunity, which makes me a little leery just because it's a good ways from the market. However, we do have some strong areas of support here. If the market were to break through this, we could grab about 40 pips. Now realize that that's currently about 60 pips, so 100 pip range for this pair wouldn't necessarily be that significant. Today was 169, so we could very easily come down, break through that, and hit this lower target without exceeding the daily range. Now, let's take a look at the Canadian dollar, US Canadian dollar. Here we have a swing trade opportunity as well, fairly a little bit steep, but closer to the market from that aspect. There we go. Let's zoom out a little bit more, maybe get some scaling, change the scale a little bit. You can see overall that this pair is moving to the downside. You can see here this trend line definitely put. You can see here it tagged it once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. So we definitely have a move to the downside. We have some another area basically here where we've had it tagged it once, twice, 3 times. So let's zoom back in and kind of see what we're looking at here. To the there we go. We do have some potential here to grab a few pips. You You see here we have previous areas of support, and if we get a break to the downside, this would be a good area to short, grabbing about 10 pips before we hit the previous long-term trend line. So at that point, if you look to grab just 10 pips, you're out, or you can move to break even at that point and see if it's going to really break out to the downside. As soon as you move to break even, you have a free trade. So if we get a strong move like we did today to the downside of a range of 85 pips, we could see it shoot down another 10 pips or so from this low and break through that trend line and continue going. Well, that about wraps us up for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.